More than 90% of seeds used here in Malaysia are imported from China, Taiwan, Thailand, and Japan. Today, we are from Group 7 would like to bring to you exclusive insights on Malaysia-owned vegetable seed breeding pioneer, Elsion Bioseeds. Let's get into it.
Elsion Bioseeds is actually a biotech company established at the end of 2016 with a focus on crop agriculture. And they have a vision of providing safe and sufficient food for mankind. And how they plan to do it is actually by creating high-yielding and high-resistant crops, which will in turn reduce farmers' usage of chemical, for example, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, or even compound fertilizers. And the pictures below actually are some of the fruity vegetables, in their crop portfolio, which includes chili, pumpkin, cucumber, and tomatoes. We were actually fortunate enough to conduct an interview with Mr. Yong, who is the founder of Elsion. And a bit of background on Mr. Yong: he's actually a biotech graduate from the University of Nottingham, and he has more than 10 years of experience in agriculture field work. He actually started since his high school days, where he would go into the field, especially during school holidays. And it was all this experience and opportunities that allowed him to discover the problems with Malaysian agriculture. That is how he decided to move all the way from Kuala Lumpur to Pekananas when he graduated from his degree. And this is also where Elsion is based. Elsion being a research-based company, they will naturally start the first stage of their process with R&D. And this is the stage where they actually source for varieties all over the world and then determine the varieties that has desirable characteristics, and then crossbreed them and then replant them to purify the variety. And then they will move on to the proof of concept stage, where they actually conduct multiple tests on and off the field, even in the lab, to determine the uniformity or determine genetic expressions for these varieties. And then they will organize a demonstration day, or in short, they call it a demo day. And then where they invite all the distributors and dealers, or even farmers, to have a look at their varieties and see whether it's marketable, whether it's ready for commercialization. So when they receive positive feedback, then they will move on to the next stage, which is commercialization. And this is the stage where they will take pre-orders from distributors, and then they will commence production and try and deliver it within a stipulated time frame. In December 2019 is the time when they were planning to actually commercialize some of his products which are ready, and then they actually started constructing their 3 acres production facilities, and then they were also in the midst of negotiating offtake agreements at the end of 2019. So fast forward to March 2020, this was the time when COVID-19 actually went full blown in Malaysia, and then there was a nationwide lockdown. And this actually coincided with the completion of the 3 acres production facility. So then they were faced with a lot of problems, because this was also the time when a lot of these distributors actually put a hold because they were faced with a lot of uncertainties in the market. But Mr. Yong actually shared with us that by end of 2020, they managed to secure 3 offtake agreements, which are all stipulated for delivery in early 2022. So then in May 2021 is the time when they actually completed an additional 7 acres of a production facility, because this was also helped by recovery of the economy, especially, and then there was very strong demand for food, and this was also an opportunity for Elsion, as they actually added additional crops into their portfolio.
Next, we will see the impact of COVID-19 to the Elsion business. The first part is a focus versus reality, where at the end of 2019, Elsion is ready to commercialize their harvested seeds. So they have a forecasted sales of 1 million in 2020. However, due to the COVID, they are only seeing a 40% of it realized. The second part is the increase, of course, in supply chain, mostly in the logistic costs, which is towards the wholesalers and the large retailers as the distributor. So how they overcome this is by having to outsource their seeds to be planted in other states in Malaysia and in China as well. But the third point is the growing phase of Elsion product design. So for Elsion in 2020, they are already at the growth stage, which is that their product design, the seeds, to be stabilized and actually has a competitive advantage despite the slow growth. There is an expansion of facilities from 3 acres to 10 acres, which is an increase of 7 acres of the Elsion's facilities. So one interesting impact of COVID-19 to Elsion is that there is a shift in customer expectation and demands in the seeds markets. So in 2020, there was supposed to be a demo day where they invited trading companies, distributors, and dealers to view these Elsion seeds. But because this day got cancelled, it created an uncertainty for this distributor to actually supply Elsion seeds to the market. Now, however, the MCOs continues, which then create a loss of income among the farmers due to the increase in price in fertilizers and pesticides, which actually forced this farmer to scale down their operations. And it got them thinking that they need to actually own good seeds. So instead of just buying any seeds in the market, so they need to find a good seeds that could actually maximize their profit in the limited operation size. This actually shifts a demand for Elsion seeds to be increased, and they are seeing a 10 to 15% of the Chile market. As Elsion is expecting an expansion in this growth stage, there's supposed to be an expansion of the facilities, but it got delayed due to the MCO, as there is a traveling restrictions. The skilled labor that they are expecting from the Cameron Highlands are not able to actually travel to their farms in Johor, which then force them to hire a lowland laborers. But this lowland laborers doesn't actually have the skill to create the greenhouses that is required by Elsion. Now, due to this, there is a going of back and forth among Elsions and these laborers, which then create a delay and then a waste and many alterations in between. Towards the end of these expansions, they had to actually do it themselves for the 25% of the expansions, which then create a further delay, as this is because for skilled laborers it requires them 14 days to complete an acre, but for a DIY it costs them to have 21 days to complete an acre.
Next, we're going to look at the challenges that was faced by Elsion Bioseeds. First of all, in terms of the legal framework, seeds form the basis of the agriculture industry. Quality seeds will ensure increased resistance against insects and also diseases. In Malaysia, however, the quality of seeds produced and distributed are not regulated by any standard requirements. The Plant Seed Quality Bill, which was proposed by the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries since 2019, have actually been met with objection by individuals and also small-scale farmers. The bill, if passed, will require the farmers to conduct laboratory tests to certify the quality of the seeds. Due to the objection obtained, the bill is yet to be tabled in Parliament for discussion and also approval. As a company involved in the research and technology of vegetable seeds, the proposed bill will give Elsion a platform to test the quality of the seed against a set of defined requirements and limit the competition to only genuine vegetable seeds producers. Next, in terms of technology, being a startup where cost is a major deciding factor in any new investments, Elsion's challenge will be incorporating other technologies, especially those beyond agriculture, such as automation, sensors, UAVs, and robots in their farm. These technologies have the potential to provide additional information and insights on soil, crop, and also atmospheric conditions, for example, which can be used by the company to optimize the use of natural and also human resources. In Malaysia, the general hot and moist climatic condition coupled with frequent rain are not ideal for seed production. Some crops of temperate origin, for example, need a cool spell to flower and produce seeds after flowering. This requirement is also not naturally available in our tropical climate. Elsion will have to set up facilities such as greenhouse, where temperature and humidity required for seed propagation and growth can be controlled. This requires additional costs and resources which have to be absorbed by the company. The climate condition was also another factor which drove Elsion's decision to secure production sites overseas to minimize potential productivity losses due to climate such as flood. In terms of social and also human resource, Wan Juso, in his research back in 2006, added that some of the local farmers prefer imported seeds compared to locally produced seeds. Such a perception will actually have negative impact on local producers such as Elsion, and the cost of production of seeds is high, and if not supplemented with enough demand could impact the cash flow. In terms of human resource, according to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the rate of jobs filled in the agricultural sector is at 93.9% compared to the average rate comprising all economic activities at 97.9%. Shortages of workers, for example, was one of the main reasons which drove Elsion towards hiring foreign labourers. In contrary to the general belief that the foreign labourers are hired due to the low labour cost, Elsion actually had to increase their wages by over 50% due to the high demand for labour in the agriculture sector.
For every crisis, therein lies the seeds of opportunity. While the pandemic has worsened the existing problem within the industry, Mr. Young says it has allowed Elsion to introduce new product into the market, which is the Cucurbita moscata Labu Manis seeds. Instead of 600 seeds sown per acre and 4 tons of pumpkins in 3 months, Farmers now can sow 3,500 seeds per acre and produce 14 to 16 tons in less than 3 months. Another commercial importance of this variant is that its ability in producing starchy texture for tomato and chili paste. Elsion's second opportunity is to advance their microbial fertilizer and pesticide method, which could help the farmers cope with the growing fertilizer and pesticide costs. While this product is still in the development stage, Elsion already has a product on the market in the form of trichoderma. To assure the success of upcoming prospects, Elsion has begun collaborative initiative with established industrial leaders. These include collaborating with one of Malaysia's largest pumpkin seed distributor to distribute their pumpkin seeds. Mr. Yong revealed that this big industry stakeholder will distribute Elsion's first batch of pumpkin seeds by the end of February 2022. Other than that, it is also collaborating with a Kuala Lumpur-based agri-tech firm and Outergrow to reduce its reliance on manual labor. Elsion is also building their own drip chemigation technology to ensure more precise pesticide delivery and to minimize pesticide loss in the soil.
The pandemic has brought a new perspective to Elsion, whereby now the management is looking to reduce labor dependency. During the pandemic, the company outsourced its production site to third party to solve its labor shortage issue. By outsourcing, it helps the company in meeting the demand during the pandemic. Besides this, the pandemic also led the company to explore technology in machinery for seed processing and packaging. The investment is worth considering because with automation in place, the management can have better control in the processing activities, ensure the output being processed in a timely manner, and also reduce labor costs and all the other labor-associated problems. Malaysia is a country which has high dependency on import most of the food items. This has raised concern on self-sufficiency in the food industry, especially during the pandemic. Malaysia now is focusing on improving the local agriculture productivity, which is an opportunity to Elsion. Elsion's objective has always been producing seeds that are high-yielding and high virus resistance. This is also aligned with the focus under the National Agro-Food Policy 2021 to 2030, which is to ensure sustainability of agro-food sector and to develop high-value agriculture commodities as a new source of wealth to the country. Besides this, if the plant seed quality bill proposal is being approved, Elsion will have the opportunity to expand its customer base as farmers will not want to go through the complicated process of seed testing and certifying by importing the seeds. By choosing Elsion seeds, which have already been patented and have gone through the certifying process, the farmers can save the hassle. However, climate change has always been a threat to those in the agriculture sectors, including Elsion as well. The recent flood has not only destroyed houses and shops, but also the crops in the field. Mr. Yong shared that it is hard to predict the act of God, and the only thing that they can do is to choose the right land and ensure proper drainage and reservoir are done to minimize the risk of flood. Our group has learned the importance of good planning, especially for Elsion's operation, to avoid wastage due to the short lifespan of the seeds. Therefore, the management team need to constantly communicate with its distributors, especially on the demand forecast, so that they can plan their production accordingly. As a businessman, Mr. Yong is not only looking at making profit, but also to understand the farmers' needs and struggles to improve their life. Elsion's products are not only high-yielding, but the seeds also require lesser pesticide, which in return help farmers to reduce their cost of production. For recommendation, we suggested Elsion to expand its production site to not only focus in Johor, but other places like Cameron Highlands or Kelantan. This can help to reduce the risk of failing to meet the market demand when the weather in Johor is not promising. Besides this, we also recommended Elsion to involve in agriculture or bioscience student internship program to identify talent as part of the expansion plan. When time comes for the company to expand, well-trained employees are readily available. That's all from our group on Elsion Bioseeds. Thank you.